welcome to Forgotten Liberty Radio. I'm joined by Pat and Aaron as always. This is John, and we're coming to you live this evening.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat.
How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. How about you, Aaron?
I'm all right.
Good. You're okay. Okay. Good to see you.
Well,
Good to see you, John.
Good to see you guys too. We're live here, but this will be recorded.
Yep.
Yeah.
For your listening enjoyment at a later time.
Right.
So we got some good news this week. The Office of the Attorney General has given us our official title and summary on the proposed constitutional amendment.
Way to go, Sharon and
Sounds
John.
good.
Time to start getting serious with this thing.
Yeah. Got a lot of work to do.
We're going to need county coordinators, county liaisons. Us proponents are going to have to authorize other proponents to take signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
We've
right.
got to get the petition printed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to do an online petition and let people print them themselves because we showed the Attorney General everywhere that it would affect the Constitution and what would have to be changed. So in doing the legwork for the state of California, we have to show that in our petition.
John, for just a little, can you maybe just go over what we're talking about? I don't know if did you really say, did you tell us, everybody, that this is an initiative that it will?
Well, I was going to get there.
Okay.
I was going to get there,
Good.
but
Stay
we
tuned,
did
folks.
a lot of work
impatient.
on this initiative to show everywhere to the Attorney General where we need to change the Constitution because of where we wanted to change the Constitution affected so many areas of the Constitution that now we have to show that on the petitions.
Okay.
Instead of just a title and summary,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to show everybody that's going to sign every little thing. Or so we're being told
Okay.
by county elections officials. That may change.
A lot of paperwork.
Yeah, but it seems like nobody, even at the Office of the Attorney General, knows exactly how the petition needs to be done. I guess we just come up with it ourselves and hope.
There's probably a standard format.
Well, I'm sure there is, but nobody seems to want to communicate that,
Gotcha.
right? So
Well, they don't want to be any help to us, of course.
our initiative 19-0012, we've received the official title and summary yesterday from the Attorney General's office. It says the Attorney General of the State of California has prepared the following title and summary of the chief purpose and points of the proposed measure. Replaces state Senate and Assembly with a single House legislature. Increases number of legislators. The initiative constitutional amendment. Replaces current state Senate and Assembly of 40 senators and 80 Assembly members with a nonpartisan single House legislature starting in 2022, initially consisting of 250 legislators. Starting in 2024, the single House legislature would have one legislator for every 80 to 100,000 persons in California. The number of legislators would be updated every 10 years to reflect population changes as reported by the National Census. Legislators in a single House legislature would serve 4-year terms and could serve for no more than 12 years. Summary of an estimate by the legislative analyst and director of finance of fiscal impact on the state and local governments. One-time cost of hundreds of millions of dollars to expand the state capitol in Sacramento, with ongoing increased building maintenance costs of a few $1,000,000 annually, increased state cost of millions of dollars per year to oversee elections, increased county costs of up to the low tens of millions of dollars annually to administer elections, and increased state costs of millions of dollars for the Citizens Redistricting Commission each decade. So, if we gather the requisite number of signatures, this is what will appear on the ballot.
Okay, that's a lot of dollars, man.
Now here's my issue.
Okay.
What is the one thing that government is supposed to guarantee us?
Representation.
Right. Okay.
And the legislative analysis and director of finance of fiscal impact.
And who is that?
Oh, it's just state employees.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, are saying that it's a one-time cost of hundreds of millions of dollars to increase the size of the state capitol.
I doubt that.
Very much. Each one of those guys don't have to have a desk that takes up an area. I've been in the state capitol. I've seen what the Senate chambers and the Assembly chambers look like. We got desks spread out in this room in a large area, small desks for these guys to sit at.
Yeah.
They can do their jobs from folding chairs.
Yeah.
They can do their jobs from surplus elementary school tables and chairs.
Yes.
Okay. And we have 1,000 kids on average in our elementary schools that are smaller in size and scope than the state capitol.
Right.
Okay. And we can get all these kids in 2 lunch sessions in multi-purpose rooms, but we're being told we need to expand the state house in Sacramento to fit all these guys. Now we have an assembly chamber and we have a Senate chamber.
Right. But this is just going to be one.
We're asking for 500 representatives at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
We can't fit 250 in each room. I wonder what the state fire marshal says those rooms are capable of
holding. We need to find that out.
That's a good point.
We need to find that out.
Well, they probably might be talking about ripping everything down and building all anew, huh?
Not as currently configured.
Right.
But how many people are we allowed by state fire marshal to fit in those rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
I guarantee you, we can get 100 in the balcony.
Yeah.
Because they do it on elementary school tours. And I'm asking to put 250 people on the floor. And I'm thinking that the size of those rooms well surpasses that code-wise.
Code-wise.
So guess what fiscal analysis office? You get an F.
Yeah.
You get an F.
You get a Pinocchio. You get a big...
Because what are you trying to say right there? You're trying to scare potential voters.
Exactly.
Okay? And we know the Office of Attorney General, that the Attorney General and Secretary of State do this when they word these things.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Absolutely.
these offices, they do this. They know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And everybody here listening knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
SB1.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's all based on size of the room and the egress.
Right.
On how many people you can fit in there.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, we don't have to change the building.
Nope. Doesn't have to be done. Plus, we're not looking for full-time. We're not looking for full-time legislation.
But we don't
either.
address that here.
We don't.
We're expecting those 500 to address that.
Okay.
And
good.
since they're 80 to 100,000 people, we're talking, 1/5 of the number of people per representative that as they have now.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're expecting that they'll be closer to the people. At 80,000, yes. I just rolled through from Merced to Ceres last night, and rolling through, I looked at the Turlock city limit sign. 73,000 people in Turlock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Turlock and Keys would be in this, if this were to come to fruition, represented by one individual.
Yeah. That would be
now,
pretty.
Right now, Turlock, Keys, Ceres, parts of Modesto,
Right. Look at
almost
that.
the whole county is represented by one person.
Excellent way to look at that.
And in this situation, we're giving Turlock and Keys one representative.
Right.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So regardless, we've already covered that we can fit these people in this room.
Absolutely.
In the two rooms.
We
and
knew
closed
that-
caption TV them.
When
It's doable.
when writing this, we knew that.
Right. Absolutely. But it does not surprise me that the fiscal analysis is so deliberately misleading.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very misleading.
Okay, because then they go on, as you heard me read, with ongoing increased building maintenance costs of a few $1 million annually. If we have the same building and we have the same square footage to paint and the same square footage to mop the floor and the same square footage to this, that, the other thing, there's no additional ongoing
There isn't.
maintenance.
You have
No.
the same maintenance going as you
Right.
already have.
Right, so there's another lie.
Mm-hmm.
There's another misrepresentation.
Yeah.
Those people may make a little bit more trash, so maybe the trash would maybe have to go up, or whoever
The
picks
litter
up the
picking
trash.
guy, yeah.
Just
Okay,
saying.
but we're already paying a SEIU employee
absolutely, I
a
know.
fair union wage
Absolutely.
to pick up the trash.
Yeah, I'm just I
Okay,
was-
so 2 years from now, I already know, and everyone listening, and the two of you already know that we are probably going to hire another custodial maintenance person
right.
towards state capitol.
Sure.
Yeah.
These are ongoing additional hires.
Mhm.
That's not something that you can legitimately and in all honesty say is applicable to one
To the cost of this.
ballot proposition.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
I'm just trying to look at everything but they're going to say. That's all.
right. Well,
I'm just
we're
being devil's advocate here.
we're single house because we have to take into consideration what Reynolds versus Sims says. You know what I mean? We're nonpartisan because we don't want them to be beholden to the Republicans or Democrats, the American Independents, the Libertarians. We want them beholden to their constituents.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Indeed.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-party. Socialize with whoever you'd like to socialize with, but represent me
Fairly. Right.
like I'm me,
Yep.
not like I'm a party, not like I'm a
Oh,
group
yeah.
of people.
Yep.
Because it's not a party that elects you. It's your constituents.
Right.
Nice. Perfect.
Right?
Yep.
And then so then the next thing, we got the building maintenance lie
Right.
discussed.
Yep.
So the next thing is it's going to increase state costs of millions of dollars per year to oversee elections. So if the first job of government is to represent us, the second job of government has to be to oversee the election.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yep.
How is us insisting upon you doing your job, your core responsibility, going to cost us more money?
Mm-hmm.
You're already overseeing elections.
Yep.
Are you not?
Right. That's true.
Does it matter if there's two names on that ballot, or two propositions on that ballot, or 200 names on that ballot, or 200 propositions on that ballot?
It should not make a difference.
Overseeing the
Right.
election is still overseeing the election,
Right.
and those costs are fixed and set.
Yep.
So another misrepresentation on what representation will cost us. And you notice I just used representation in two different and separate meanings
Right.
within the same sentence,
Okay.
just like so many of our founding documents do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk about that on a regular basis, understanding the definition of words and their meaning and how they're used at the time. Then it says increased county costs up to the low tens of millions of dollars annually to administer elections. We are already administering the election.
That's right.
So
not a new added cost.
So you
built in already.
So you take Stanislaus County. Right now, they're 500 and some thousand people in Stanislaus County, but those 500 and some are divided by 2 assembly districts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're overseeing 2 assembly races for those 500 and some thousand persons. And now we're saying it's going to be between 5 and 7. So instead of just 4 names on the ballot, now you're going to have 14 names on the ballot and 14 separate races. Not much different than local Modesto, Ceres, Turlock, school board elections, mayoral elections, and everything has been pushed to the same ballots in California, right?
Right.
So we've taken every yearly election away, so we have that savings already, and we're going to an every 2-year election cycle in California. But we're being told in this title and summary that it's going to cost hundreds of millions and several million and tens of millions in all these different categories.
I'm just wondering on the county level or on the more local level fiscally, is it going to cost the counties more to have to oversee all of these every person who is running for these offices?
Why every person that submits a candidacy has to pay a certain amount of money?
They have to pay.
Right?
That's true.
And that
that's true.
amount of money, if it's not
okay
covering the expenses of the county, then we need to address the amount of money that a candidate is charged to file, and not put that against the proposition for representation.
Yeah, exactly. So it won't.
So there is no increased county cost of administering the election, because again, your job as government is to administer the election.
That's right. Should be part of the budget already.
Not to build the damn bullet train, to administer our election.
Right.
Not to get me from San Francisco to Los Angeles in more time than the airplane would take, mind you. But but to administer my election.
Right.
Okay. It's very stressful. When you look at
how
what these people, these fiscal analysis experts that we've hired, that we've entrusted as Californians to be upfront and honest with us about our fiscal situation or our fiscal impact of things. When you read things like this and you put 2 and 2 together, that their one job is to ensure our representation and their second job is to administer the elections.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're saying is, well, the building ain't big enough. We got to build a new building. We need more of your money. Wrong answer.
Right.
Okay. Lie. Falsehood.
False.
An immoral statement. From someone who obviously doesn't know, I'm going to call them a moron.
Right. As they should be
and
called.
A deceptive individual.
Yeah, that's a blatant lie.
Okay. Because does it say anywhere in there the fiscal analysis cannot be completed at this time because we haven't consulted the fire marshal on whether we can fit 250 people in each chamber? Doesn't bring up any of that.
Doesn't have any
what
of that
it says
in
is,
there.
Hand me some money.
Yeah, it's going to cost you.
If you want this, it's going to cost you.
If you want better representation, it's going to cost
me
you
jack,
lots
woman.
of money.
And I'm telling you right now, we can look up who signed the fiscal analysis statement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. It's online. It's right there.
Yep.
And that person should be fired.
That's true. Yeah.
Fired.
Ain't going to happen. But
Yeah.
that's
but
something
you know what?
It would be.
I'm a Joe Nobody. Okay? I don't have a master's degree. I don't have a doctorate in finance.
No.
But I'm telling you right now, this person has out and out lied
Yep.
and misrepresented every
you go.
financial situation they've discussed.
Exactly.
Because did they, one, speak to the fire marshal to see if if 500 people wouldn't fit between those two chambers? I guarantee you they didn't.
No.
I'll guarantee that.
So when they didn't do that, they were derelict in their responsibility
Yep.
as a steward of the people of the state of California's money. Okay? And
Why
you need to be
doesn't that
terminated.
matter? Why doesn't that matter to more people?
Right.
But they need to be terminated.
Exactly.
These kind of people don't need a state job if they're going to be misrepresenting
Right.
the reality.
Well, I can guarantee you they didn't put a lot of thought into this. There's just somebody jotted down, this guy, whoever it is, jotted down some figures, just thinking, probably in his head, thinking, well, we're gonna have to do this, that, and the other, and build this, that, and the other. But they're really not going to have to.
Okay. Well, in the last fiscal issue this is going to cause
Mm-hmm.
is increased state costs of millions of dollars for the Citizens Redistricting Commission each decade. The Redistricting Commission only meets every decade
Oh.
to redistrict as required by the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're redistricting 40 senatorial districts and 80 assembly districts, along with the 50-some House of Representative districts. Okay? That's part of their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're breaking those existing 80 assembly districts because we're doing away with the state Senate.
Right.
We're
Right.
going to a unicameral, a one-house legislature.
Right.
So we're changing the assembly districts to legislative districts, which they already are.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you call
Just
them,
call it just
assembly
verbiage.
district or legislative.
Right.
So we're breaking 80 assembly districts, right,
Mm-hmm.
into 500 assembly districts. So they're basically just drawing lines on a map already, and we're being told that those same 14 or so individuals that are picked at random through an interview process and paid
Right.
are going to cost us millions of more dollars.
And we wouldn't want them to do their job to begin with, right?
Well, no.
I mean, it's like they make it as if it's more
millions
work.
of dollars. Millions of dollars for what amounts to paying 14 to 20 temporary state employees for the maximum, and let's be realistic, the maximum of another 20 workdays. That's a blatant lie. And if we're paying those people millions of dollars to do this redistricting job, we need an audit.
Yeah, I agree. Seriously.
We need to audit the Citizens Redistricting Commission because it shouldn't cost us,
No.
millions to do the redistricting.
millions to redistrict.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'd like to know how much it costs in the first place. What's it cost? Because we're
how
coming
much-
up on it right now, and how much is that going to cost us?
How many of these people? How much do these people make for those 14 to 20 days?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Mhm.
Let's look that up, Aaron.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, we're already paying for these things, and we're already mandated to pay for these things. So you can't help but when you read the official title, summary, and fiscal analysis statement, but to think they don't want this to happen. And if they don't want this to happen, everyone listening
They don't
needs to drop us a message, needs to help us regardless of what group you're with.
Doesn't matter. We just want better representation. No matter.
You know, we're going to have to get these things printed and signed, turned in, We need people in every county to help us. We got Stanislaus covered. I think we got El Dorado covered.
I'm looking into San Joaquin.
But, this is not a recall Gavin deal.
Nope.
You can do whatever you want. Recall Gavin. Don't recall Gavin. Understand or don't understand why or why not you want to do that. Unless we change the 120 in Sacramento that make the laws that go to these governors' desks, we're never going to change the issues that we face in this state.
Once again, how many signatures do we need to get this on the ballot?
Well, 970 some thousand.
Just under 1 million.
What? Okay, so since that's the number you need, some are going to be disqualified, this or that.
Right.
If they force a full count, I'd like to see like 1.5 million signatures be turned in.
Right.
We have until March 3rd, 2020 to do that. So we're working diligently to get the petitions together and to get a website up and going. At a certain point, printing the petitions is going to cost money. And we would gladly accept donations at that time. We do have a website under construction. It's ARR, the number 4, all, ALL.org. So that's ARR, the number 4, ALL.org. Once that website's up and going, there'll be a link to donate. There'll be links to get involved. But you're gonna need to stay tuned for that, and we'll of course let you know on this show when all that's up and going.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like if you personally would like information on this, before that website's up and going, you can email us at info@arr4all.org. That's info, INFO, at ARR4all.
Is that an at in there? Info at or
Info
ARR?
Yeah, info
at. Okay.
ARR4all.org.
Okay, good. Clear to me now.
Right. So email us, info@arr4all.org. Don't forget that's the number 4.
Right.
Not FOR. And we'll get you the information you're looking for. But that's where we're at on the initiative. Things are moving. We're going to have to get it done and going quick.
By chance you're listening to us in a county that has no one who is collecting signatures, please.
No one's collecting signatures yet because we don't have the petitions.
Okay, wait till we have the petitions.
If you're listening in any county other than Stanislaus, because we have our petition coordinator,
mm-hmm.
Pat has kindly accepted the duties of the petition coordinator in Stanislaus County.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, thank you, Pat. I appreciate it.
Yes, yay.
Good
job.
So Pat will have that responsibility, and we'll coordinate all signature gatherers in Stanislaus County. We need someone from every county to take on that responsibility.
That's what
it's a big job, and unfortunately, at this point, we're all grassroots volunteers. Yep. This is absolutely a grassroots movement.
Yes.
We do not have, except little funding that Ms. Durst has put in out of her own pocket. She's funded the $2,000 petition.
I think we should acknowledge that she's done a heck of a lot of work on this.
She has. Sharon has done a ton of work on this
she
deal.
Sure has. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
Now we're
I have some
pick up
funds
the slack.
into making the website and emails and stuff.
Thank you to you,
And,
John.
We got to do what we got to do.
We do. We
know,
we want to be
and-
represented.
And
We want everyone to be represented.
This ARR4all.org, this is like a $30,000 deal. Right now it's for the state of California. If we're not successful in this ballot initiative, we'll try again. We are learning so much, Sharon and I, about this process as we go through it, that even if we're unsuccessful this time, 2 years from now, there's another election.
Right.
This is important. And the bigger groundswell we can get rolling on this thing, the better. And it may take more than the few months that we have to get it done now.
It might. But we're not going to.
But the powers that be, the powers that dictate what happens on this planet, okay,
right.
Regardless of what your supreme being is, okay. If this is wanted, we'll guide this movement.
Amen.
Right.
A prayer or two is good.
Oh.
That'd be really
It
good.
doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
But
Always good.
But my goal in forming this website, we want to affect change in California first.
We do.
And as everybody knows, I'm already, having discussions with my House of Representatives member about reducing the amount of people that he represents. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it.
Wait, he's lost.
Yeah. Well,
he is lost in space there. That's
Yes.
good.
well, but you know what?
What? Are you going to give him some credit?
No, I'm not giving him any credit. I'm actually absolutely not giving him credit.
Okay.
I'm not giving any person running for District 10 representative any credit. Because other than, have you looked at my stuff? Oh yeah, I've looked at it and it looks cool. Has anyone contacted me to discuss it? Has anyone on their official candidates page said, hey, Mr. Osgood of Ceres in the district has a wonderful idea to reapportion the House?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's interested in that. We're all interested in little pet projects for the state.
I want some feel-good
state rights issues. States' right issues win the day when you're running for federal office.
Right.
So,
okay,
that's where we're at on that.
That's where we're at, and we got
full
steam ahead. We're going.
We're running with that, and if you want to get involved, email me at info@arr4all.org. And we'll get you to email us. There's several of us that check that email. And we will get you the information you need and get you hooked up with the people that you need to be hooked up with to assist us.
Awesome.
I appreciate any help in advance.
Yes.
We all do. Okay. So we have one more issue we would like to talk about tonight.
Well, the legislature has seen in all of its wisdom to throw some more gun regulations at us here in California. So let's look at what's coming up. Unless lawsuits can stop these things, they're going to be law. The first one...
They're already law, right?
They're already law.
Are they law? Oh, yes, you're right. They're law. And there's lawsuits.
The governor signed them, so they're law.
You're right.
So
I'm sorry.
So there's judicial challenges or
Yes.
legal challenges to
Right.
these.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Oh,
I don't even know if we need to challenge them because we already have United States Constitution, Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights says, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which means you can't mess with that.
They seem to be messing with it little by little by little.
Incremental.
All of them, even red flag laws, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, that's what this AB 61, the first one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, straight up when written. I can have a tank if I want. I can have whatever I want. I can have whatever they got. Nuclear arm, I can have. Nuclear tipped missile, I can have that.
I don't want you to have a nuclear tip missile.
Well, whether
I'd like a flamethrower.
Okay, there you go.
you know whether or not another individual wants us to have something, or whether or not we exercise our right to the fullest extent of that right, you're not allowed as a representative to make any law limiting my ownership of an arm.
Yes, true.
And an arm doesn't stop. An arm does not stop at a pistol or a rifle.
Like we talked about before.
It
could be a Big Ben.
I know.
Until we're blue in the face.
Right.
So John is just saying all of this is
Bogus.
He's just saying. Just saying.
It's bogus.
Just saying it.
We're supposed to
right.
get it. We're supposed to get, for my generation, another installment of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure movies.
Oh, great.
And like I'm saying, this is bogus.
Yes.
Well, we can go over them if you want to, though, because they are insanely.
They're ridiculous. And
bad.
like I say, they're literally creeping up on us little by little, chipping away at our rights to own firearms.
Right.
Or as John says, any arm, period.
So 61 deals with
red flag laws. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to expand the types of people who can file gun violence restraining orders to include employers, coworkers, and school teachers. So this will only be based on third-party allegations and not actually criminal activity or due process. So they can take away your right to own a gun, and you don't have anything to say about it.
Which is redundant.
How so?
Let me tell you, we already in the state of California have a program, the CLETS program.
Okay.
Look up CLETS, CLETS.
What is it?
Okay.
Tell us what it is.
When you are served with a domestic violence restraining order, okay, something that can be acquired on the first call to law enforcement from a victim, okay, not an employer, not a coworker, not a school teacher, from the actual victim, the significant other, the child, the neighbor down the street.
Yeah.
When they call and say, I'm being domestically violated, okay, I'm in a cohabitative situation, or my father's beating me or this or that, and I need protection from the government, the judge issues a temporary restraining order, and that includes
your guns.
Yeah, you have to submit all your firearms to the police department.
Correct.
Okay, so here we go. What's a CLETS restraining order? Here it is. So it's a CLETS restraining orders only occur in California, and CLETS stands for California Law Enforcement Telecommunications System. Oh, that's kind of weird. Oh, okay. How does it work? How does a CLETS restraining order differ from regular restraining order? As a general rule, California judge will first order a temporary restraining order or a TRO before gaining a CLETS order.
But they're synonymous. They happen together.
So this is
it's
basically
one and the same. So what this is saying is we already have this established practice.
Right.
Okay, and this is my problem. This is why we need more than 120 in Sacramento. This is why we need more than 40 in the Senate and 80 in the Assembly, because they can't remember what they've already done.
I know. Hey, I
Okay?
got an idea.
So
That's
if
what we've
120
done,
and all their staff can't remember what they've done, maybe if I give you 400 more people to work with, one of those 400 can stand up on the floor and say, why are we even dealing with AB 61? It's already a done deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, good point.
It's already covered by law.
Well,
Yep.
this one is now that is
No, this says now a school teacher, a
can.
coworker,
Yeah.
an employer of that person can say
Yeah.
that they're being violated, and they should go take their significant other or their neighbors or their fathers or mothers' weapons away and strip them of their due process rights under the Constitution of the state of California and the United States of America, because they think there is a victim. Okay?
Yeah.
Think.
It's always a victim.
Here's the choo-choo. Pat's phone is on the rail and it's going down.
Sorry,
No,
guys.
but those people will think that someone is a victim.
Right. They just have
Whereas
to think
if
it's
the victim, okay,
Yeah.
straight up, let's be serious for 1 minute. If someone has been wronged and is not calling law enforcement to address that violation of their person,
Mm-hmm.
then there's no issue, because the state can't protect me from me. My coworker can't protect me from me.
Right. Okay.
Okay? Aaron cannot protect Aaron from Aaron. If Aaron, I mean, the only, maybe that wasn't right, but the only person that can protect us is ourselves. And if we're not willing to make the phone call to protect ourselves, it's no one else's responsibility or duty under the law. Yeah, this is like a mandatory reporter situation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Pat's familiar with mandatory reporter stuff, having worked in the schools.
yeah.
This is bogus. So mandatory reporter stuff for people that don't know. If a teacher assumes, okay, we all know what happens when you assume.
Yeah.
You know,
you and me.
right? I don't beep.
Sorry.
I don't know if we can do that.
Oh,
Matthew, you'll have
beeps
to
that
check
out.
that.
No.
Sorry.
Right? But no,
You were
seriously, I
talking
don't think that's
about the animal, right?
Yes, I meant the
right.
animal
Right. I don't think that's
meal.
explicit at all. But you know, it just, a lot of these things violate our rights
Absolutely
indeed.
do.
on several levels.
Can I just do one thing real quick?
You can
I'm
do whatever
mistakenly
you want.
that has two meanings. The CLETS, CLETS stands for, but we're talking about the CLETS restraining order specifically. I accidentally read something into that earlier that was not correct. So anyway, just correcting something there for my.
Right, but it all has to do with taking your firearms and your rights to possess those things without due process.
Right.
Simply because there's a TRO, and it may be the case that these violations may or may not be founded. Okay.
Right.
Because these types of things can be issued without police reports.
Yes, and that's a good point. It's a real good point. Police don't even have to be involved.
Right? And they don't have to be involved with AB 61.
Right. You know, that means just somebody could be mad at somebody else and falsely report that they're, give a false report and have their guns taken away.
And you don't think that's not going to happen?
Right. It's going to happen.
It's already happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's already happening through the CLETS.
Yeah. You have vindictive spouses, others, significant
Sure.
others that do
Sure.
that.
Absolutely. Children that do that.
Children. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And when you explain to people what they've done, okay, they don't understand it. I can't tell you how many times restraining orders are issued in this state when, significant others don't want to reside with the significant other. So instead of filing properly for an eviction,
Mm-hmm.
right, and fighting it that way, everybody's quick to just go, well, I don't want you here, and you hollered at me, so it's domestic violence.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then we put them into this situation of having to surrender their arms and surrender their rights
Unfairly. Yep.
without due process,
Right.
when they should actually be being served with an eviction notice.
Right.
Right.
That's a
So
good
to
point.
speak.
That's a good way to.
A lot of these situations, and if you go,
Yeah.
I'm certain of it.
and I'm not saying that there aren't situations where,
That are valid.
John and Jane Doe aren't beating the snot out of one another, or
Right.
one to the other, or this or that, and we need to to intervene, but that gets back to that issue, and not just because there's an assumption or an accusation.
Right, an accusation is not
that you lose your rights.
There is no assumption of innocence. There's an assumption of guilt.
Guilt, and you have to prove yourself innocent. That's backwards from our system.
Yeah, it surely is. Every single one of these are just insane. And I don't know. Do you want to?
I don't know if we have time to touch on every one of them. So let's just pick out a couple and talk about them.
So AB 12 increases the duration of any gun violence restraining order from 1 to 5 years. 1 to 5 years, a restraining order.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Okay.
That's a little ridiculous.
Now, that doesn't say that you used a weapon.
No.
Well,
Right?
gun violence.
Gun violence, though, yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory, I think.
Isn't gun violence, what do you think?
With a firearm, right?
That sounds like gun violence is something you used a weapon. But it doesn't mean that this is necessarily has to be this strict of a law.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that strict.
Right.
I guess we can see kind of both sides on that one, but it does. Why do we need a stinking law for this?
Yeah.
There's my point.
Okay, so not everyone that's on a restraining order is a felon.
That's it. That's true.
Okay? This is my viewpoint. You do not lose your rights for misdemeanor violations.
But listen to this.
You do not lose your rights for family law issues. You lose your rights because you're a felon.
Yep.
Okay?
That's true.
A restraining order is not issued to someone who is a felon.
Okay.
You are incarcerated if you are a felon.
Now I get it.
This is a restraining order. So this is another red flag bogus law.
Yep.
Okay? Because it's a restraining order. A judge is saying, you can't do this. And now not only can you not do this right now, you can't do this for 5 years, and you've been charged with no felony.
Right.
You've lost no right, except for that, to bear arms.
Yep.
And
we haven't done that. And restraining orders are not handled in criminal court, ladies and gentlemen.
They're saying
restraining orders are handled in the family law court.
Okay.
These proceedings are not criminal proceedings.
Ah.
These two bills right here are not handled in criminal court. Gun violence restraining order is not specifying a criminal behavior, otherwise an assumption of guilt in a court that's not found you guilty of jack.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Done on that one.
Done with that one. Okay.
AB 164 imposes a fire restriction for any person subject to a valid order issued by another state that is similar or equivalent to a restraining order. Here we go again. Issued in California. That includes a restriction against owning or possessing firearms.
But unless that individual is a felon and has lost their
That's
rights,
it.
That is a violation of their right.
Our legislatures want to be...
Right. So we touchy-feely help Ms. Jane Doe.
Right.
And they're always saying it's Jane Doe, and I'm going to tell you right now, 90% of the people this will affect will be males.
That's right.
But there are females of equal number doing these same things and not being treated the same way.
That's right.
Well...
You want to know who all this BS is directed at? It's directed at the white male.
It is.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is.
It is. Yes.
Huh? Yeah.
Males in general. I think you can't just say it is directed at white males, but it is also afflicts
be
any
all
male.
Right?
No.
Any male.
It is males. Go why?
Because they already have other avenues of targeting the Hispanics and the African descent Americans.
And how's that?
And they imprison those men.
That's right.
Because they're usually of a lower educational background as far as their rights go. Okay? Those two communities Those two communities are not taught what their rights are.
That's true.
We need to teach them.
We do have
this.
some that understand what their rights are.
Yes.
And a larger number of those communities are starting to understand what their rights are.
Yeah.
But they're
Grateful for that.
They are targeted in other ways.
You're okay. I
agree
Right?
with that.
okay.
So far, everything we've read here is to target the white male in a family court situation, and we touched on the cause that I think is of homelessness in our state,
Mm-hmm.
the destruction of the family.
Yep.
Every one of these restraining order issues is another attempt at destruction of the family
Good point.
because they happen in family court.
Right.
They do not happen in criminal court.
So they're trying to make a criminal court out of the family court. Right?
No, they're just trying to strip your rights in family court.
Right. But they're trying to use a family court to do something that is in a criminal way, would you say?
I would say
No,
It's
they're not.
violating
They're
a
not
law.
trying to do anything in a criminal way because
Well, you're losing
unless
your
you
rights.
unless you violate a court order or which would be a restraining order once it went before the judge,
Mm-hmm.
then there's no criminal activity. When these bills so far come into play,
Yeah.
up until the point where you violate that court order, okay, the TRO or the RO,
Right.
in most of these cases, does it become a criminal matter? But it's still adjudicated by that same judge, right? That same judge that never had the constitutional authority to strip you of your right.
Yeah. Right.
And where did he get his authority to strip you of that right? Beholden to the state and the federal constitution. Well, the Assembly and the Senate says
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is the law in the
There they
state
are.
of California. Not, these laws are in violation of the United States Constitution
Yeah.
and the state of California Constitution, where it says that the United States Constitution is supreme law of the land.
Yep.
So I'm not enforcing them in my courtroom. Let me tell you right now, there's written law and then there's natural law. And natural law does not apply in the family court of the state of California.
Right. That's a good point.
I've been through it.
Yeah. You're first. You have
You know
first hand.
firsthand. That's good. Well,
Well,
it's not good, but I mean, it's
But
Okay,
you know
good
what?
that you
When you
know.
tell your daughter to do her homework or come for visitation and she says she doesn't want to come
mm-hmm.
and she files a TRO and then they put you in the CLETS system
Ooh.
and then you fight it and come to find out the judge in a county other than where the original orders were written
Mm-hmm.
says, young lady, I understand at one home it's ice cream in Disneyland and at the other home it's the church and homework. And this is a situation we have here. The
Mhm.
man's done nothing wrong. Church and homework for you.
That's what needs
thank
to
God
happen.
for
is
that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Those things didn't affect me because I won the day.
Good. Okay.
But everything here
Mm-hmm.
has been tried on me personally.
Wow.
These types of laws have affected me personally. And I'm telling you right now, we are taking people's rights without due process.
Yes.
We are taking people's rights for assumptions of an employer, of a school teacher, of a coworker. People have no clue. And usually the victims
Some-
don't have a clue either.
Right. Well, there's
But-
somebody with a vendetta who wants to
And
mess with
that's
your
all
life.
it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? My daughter didn't have any idea that when she said my dad's being mentally abusive to me and I need a restraining order against him so I don't have to be disciplined, that they were going to come in and tell me I couldn't have a firearm.
Wow.
That they were going to come in and tell me to surrender your weapons. You can't have weapons even at an in-law's home in a safe. Any weapon you have in that situation has to be retrieved and immediately turned in to law enforcement.
Wow.
Say you have a hunting rifle and it's at your friend's house and your friend's not home. Your friend's on vacation and you can't get to that friend's home for 48 hours. Guess what? You violated again. And you've done nothing wrong but tell your kid that she has to bring her ass. There's a mark for Matthew for visitation. Why? Because 120 in Sacramento allowed these bogus laws to be made.
We need better representation, people.
Yeah, this is just a perfect case for the expanded representation.
So we're not going to be able to get to the rest of these?
No, we'll just leave it at that. We can get to them another time if we so desire.
We can do that, or we can put it on the notes in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
How about
we
that?
can do that.
Okay.
I can email this to Matthew.
Okay, there we go.
Well, I mean,
Put it up on show notes.
That's really where everything is, though.
It is.
We are, as a state, violating people's rights without due process.
Well, if they can do it to our president, I guess they can do it to any citizen in the United States.
Anybody.
They can't do it to nobody.
Well,
and I don't like to be the guy saying, pick them up. But I've said it before on this program, if 10,000 of us showed up on the Capitol steps, loaded and ready to go, things would change.
Yeah.
We have too many.
But we can't even support ourselves if we take 2 days off of work.
I know.
You know? And everybody out there saying, if you don't show up and you don't do this, then you don't care. It's not the case. And if you don't show up at this courthouse for this case, or you don't show up for this group's this or that group's that we'll never win. Well, we don't have to show up Monday through Friday, but nobody's going to organize anything Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, if there were 10,000 people on the Capitol Mall on a Saturday or Sunday, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, every national news affiliate would cover it.
Yep.
And those 121, including the governor, 122, including the lieutenant governor, would be quaking.
Yeah.
How nice that would be.
Yeah.
But we don't have anybody but John suggesting that these things are done on Saturday. Well, because nobody else sees us.
Well, let's do that.
I ain't got time. I got to get almost 1.5 million signatures.
We do.
Y'all can go sit down there by your damn selves.
Okay. Well, let's just call it an evening, guys.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up a good show here.
I think it was good.
Yeah.
I hope you guys learned something. We can't get off your butts and do something.
Yeah. Make a
I'm
difference.
not telling nobody to get off their butt.
Why? Why?
Just help us out. I'm not going to be rude like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, get off your butt and do something.
Well, if you want change, if you want to...
The old lady can be rude because I have earned it.
No, I got that.
You can be cantankerous.
But you know what? There's a lot of movements in this state that are saying, get up and do something. Get off your butt and do something. And I think it's disrespectful because every time something's set up, it's set up at a time where those of us that are supporting families, the majority of my age group that needs to be the ones out there that
can't make it.
Guys like me and Matthew, we can't just take off during the middle of the week.
Right.
Nope.
We're not established. We don't have weeks of vacation time. We don't have,
exactly.
Hey, I work for myself, so I can do a lot of things. Just my generation cannot.
Right.
When I say that, let me be clear here. When I say get off your butt, I don't mean spend hours and hours and hours. Just an hour. Yeah. Just an hour.
If you want to affect change, you got to do something, right?
Come on, or just make a stinking phone call once in a while.
And it's not so much,
I wasn't being rude. I wasn't trying to be rude.
It's that I think that people take it that way.
Well,
I don't want them to take it that way coming from me.
If I hurt anyone's feelings, I apologize. Really? Okay, here we go.
Email us at info at arr4all.org. We get you what you want to know about this ballot initiative, and if you can help us in what county you're in like that, drop us a note. Yeah. Love to have your assistance.
We would love it.
Yes. This is not a partisan movement. This is not a state split movement. This is
California for Californians.
We are not wanting to discourage people involved in other movements from participating. We would actually encourage it.
Please.
Yes.
For the outcome that you're looking for, if it's a state split movement, this is an absolute necessity.
I'll say.
You want your representatives to represent you, then help us out. And we appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, or your podcast player of choice. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review where you can. We'd really appreciate it, and it actually does help our ratings. You can find us on all the typical social media, Twitter, Facebook, even some alternative media such as BitChute and Gab. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Forgotten Liberty Radio is a production of Forgotten Liberty Media. The views expressed by the host or guests in any episodes may not necessarily reflect the views of Forgotten Liberty Media as a company.